Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and I'm still playing Pendragon. And we've seen now, I think, 4 epoch cards, yes. So there should be, I guess, I'm not absolutely sure. I think there should be 2 more in the deck here, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. Maybe even 3, I think it's 2. Still, we're now at a point where there's a good chance that it might be over in the next epoch, because now we're not at a situation where only one faction is close to winning. Until now it was the Civitates, and so everybody tried to prevent them from winning and fought against them. But now we're more in the situation where we have actually, I would say, 3 factions not too far from winning. Of course, still the Civitates, but then there is also the Saxons. And they need to control 10 population. Right now they control only 5, but you can see they have a ton of warbands on the board. And these 2 areas are free. There would be 4 more, so they need 1 more. Or they could also try to attack here and try to gain control over these Atrebates. So maybe that one, for example, and this one, or this one and that one. That would be enough to win the game, actually. So that's definitely a big threat here. Another one, the Scotty. They want the money, and actually they only need 9 more bucks. If they gain 46 bucks, they can win the game, because they need also they need, in addition to that, 4 settlements on the board. They have that, so yeah, it's these 46 bucks. I mean, this settlement could be attacked. That is pretty far away. They need to move through this. But that might be attacked by some other guy, but there are also quite a few guys to protect it, so that's not so easy. And these 2 are Federati settlements. We'll see what happens. So we come to the next card now. So the Civitates did a muster action. They placed militia here and some here, and I guess that was actually it. Then it was the Dukes, and they did a train action, and they could now train 2 cavalry in each space with a fortress instead of 1, because of these steppe warriors over here. So that means they were able to train here, and in addition to that they trained here and down here. So they have now finally some units on the map. And now, let me see, yeah, exactly, the Scots gonna pass. That gives him another buck. Let's see if the Saxons are interested in the event. Not too much, I guess. I mean, they could add prosperity, but that's also not so much in their interest. Limited command. Well, they could do that. Maybe they will. Yeah, well, the Saxons actually, they did that limited command. So that did cost them 1 renown, and they moved in here to Trinovantes. Okay, so next card. Okay, let's see what we get here. Half from 1. Wow, that's leadership struggle. That's a pretty horrible one for those Saxons, to remove half of one barbarian's warbands from one region it controls. That could be pretty devastating. The Scots might not terribly, I mean, they could also be affected, and that would also be very bad for them. But in the end, you know, maybe people say, okay, the Saxons are the bigger threat at the moment. And it seems a bit like that. Forts. Okay, let's see. For me, it is actually kind of tempting to trigger this event here, because Scotty may raid from Oceanus Britannicus. I then could do my raids from down here, and you know, the cool thing is there's still quite some plunder to gain. In these regions here, in the north, there's not much plunder left. Just a little bit. Also here in the west, everywhere just one plunder. But down here, you know, these are the rich regions. And that's what I want. I want money. So I think actually I'm gonna play that event, which says simply Niall's Raid. Well, let's say what that is. 55, right? Let's take a look. Some background information. Okay. There are consistent traditions that the semi-legendary High King of Ireland, Niall Noigall Noigallach, led major raids against Britain and possibly even Brittany and Gaul, sailing the Channel in search of richer pickings than on the harsh shores of the Irish Sea. He is also said to have found his death, probably sometime between the late 4th and mid-5th centuries AD, during one of these raids, traditionally by the arrow of a personal enemy from Leinster, though there is also a Breton tradition that a great Irish fleet was wrecked during storm on the unforgiving western approaches of Brittany. Well, still, I think I might try to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna play this event here. I'm gaining out of these markers. I wonder how many of these cards are still in the deck here, or if there are simply not enough markers that came with the game, which is usually not the case with these G&T games. We'll see. There are only 2 more markers left. Okay, so and then the Civitates might do actions. Well, yeah, and they need just 1 more population, so it's interesting. They have a lot of guys here. Maybe they should focus on this space here. And then we have, of course, here the Civitates, but oh no, the Romans. But you know, it's hard. I mean, what else can I do? I think I want to try to get in here. And then we'll see. So the Civitates moved from these 4 spaces here into Dekeangli. And if they can build a stronghold there, then that would give them 2 more population, and then they would be in their winning stage, basically. Okay, now this is a nasty one. The rival Caesars. There would be this leadership struggle. Remove half of one barbarian's warbands from one region it controls. So that should not be activated by the Romans when it comes to the Saxons, though they definitely have to prevent that from happening. Remove half Dux pieces, rounded up. from each of two adjacent regions with dukes. Okay, I mean the Saxons could do this Roman original sin thing and destroy a few here and that one here. And then they could maybe consider an attack, but the problem is it's still very unlikely that this makes sense. The other option would be a command. Without a feat. Well, that's not too great too, because they want to settle here. That would be a feat. So yeah, I mean they could do raids, of course. Hard to tell, it really is. I think I want to get rid of the Dux pieces instead. It's just a question where exactly. I mean, I could also do it up here. That would cost them more. And they are basically also a massive threat against my territories here. So maybe it's even a better idea to do that. Yeah, so I think I want to do that. So that's card 66. And I'm going to trigger the event here as the Saxon player. Even before Octavius Augustus established the Roman Empire, at the conclusion of a successful civil war had been a recurring feature of Roman politics. This pattern endured to the very end of the Eastern Roman Empire, with the breakaway empire of Trebizond surviving the fall of Constantinople for 8 years, finally falling in 1461. It appears that the very socio-political culture of Rome induced personal bids for power whenever a current leader showed weakness. During the period of the game, Constantine III's bid for power was fatally weakened by the rebellion of his general Gerontius, and there are echoes of such strife in the endemic wars between Romano-British leaders, from the internecine wars between the descendants of Coel Hain in the Hain Oglet, to the legendary Battle of Camlan. Even where the Roman heritage wasn't significant, the intensely personal nature of loyalty and power in Celtic and Germanic society led to such rivalries to plague all Dark Ages politics. Well, okay, in this case, the Romans are in trouble here, and yeah, two adjacent regions. So, I mean, I could either remove these guys and remove the fortress here. That would hurt the Romans pretty bad. Or I could remove 4 from here. And that's maybe more interesting for me, because this one down here is not a big threat for my people. So I'm going to remove 4 from here. And wait a minute, it says round it down. Okay, so we can remove only 4. But that's still pretty painful for these guys, and I guess they go to the available forces. Okay, yeah, that's the event, and now it's the Roman, and they can do a command and a feat. Okay, well, the Romans reacted simply by doing a train action and bringing these guys back in. So 4 additional troops now, some sitting here, some sitting there. And it's going to be tough for the Saxons. If we see a battle here, these guys moving in there, the other ones moving in there, it's very likely that this whole area just breaks. Seriously, I mean, the Romans can strike first, and they can kill most of the Saxon warbands then. So, well, we'll see. Okay, so while the other factions are basically wasting their turns, like we've seen the last turn, but there was no other way. The Saxons, they had to prevent this leadership struggle from happening, and therefore they had to use the event instead of doing some kind of march or something. And of course the Romans want their pieces back. There's no question about that. So yeah, they did their train actions, and now the Civitates, they simply did a new muster action, and they managed to bring now Dece Angli under control, placed a hill fort there, placed a few more guys in here, and that brings their control now up to 18 population, which means right now they would win the game. And it looks pretty convincing, actually. They have a few really good areas here. They are fine guarded and all, and even if they lose one of these one areas, they're still good. The question now is that the next event is pretty terrible for them. It says here, remove all but 2 Briton troops from Kantiaki. Saxons place 1 settlement and 6 warbands at Kantiaki's hill fort site. So that's kind of interesting. They might consider doing this. And then they would gain control over this area, and the Britons would lose that control. However, that would mean that the Saxons would have to reduce a few of their units here. They would have to take some of these units and place them here. If we take all the 6, I doubt it. We probably have to fight the Romans. Wow, that's ugly, man. I don't know. So let's see. First it's the Scots, and I guess they can do now a limited command in one space. Do they really want to do that? Hard to tell. They might not be too interested in doing this. On the other hand, if they pass now, it would give them a buck. It's not so bad. And yeah, I mean, maybe they should go for that. On the other hand, they might as well place additional... They might do a raid and place additional units in Nial Neugyalach. That could also be an option. Okay, so I guess I'm actually going to trigger this event here. Vortigern. Saxon chief conquers Kent. Remove all but 2 Briton troops. Well, okay, that's the case already. From Kantiaki, Saxons place 1 settlement and 6 warbands at Kantiaki's hill fort site. Rutupie. Okay, so that means we get the next settlement on the board. That's already pretty valuable. Then we have here 2 warbands remaining. And now let's see. That's kind of tricky. We might say, okay, we bring in another one from here. And yeah, you know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if I got 3 here, or I don't know, maybe another one from, let's take one more from here, okay? So I got now 4 guys here. That gives me definitely control. Maybe 3 is actually already enough. Nah, I don't know. Let's say 4. That's a safe deal, I guess. So that gives me then control over this area. And hey, that's 2 more points, right? So that's not bad, because if I now manage to, wait a minute, yeah, to build a settlement here, then I would be already at 9 points, and I just need 1 more, but I'm not sure where to get that from. I mean, we have a real stalemate here. The Romans could try and attack against this space, and I think sooner or later we're going to see that happening. Right now they simply didn't have the option to do that, but it could happen right now, actually. So now this becomes Saxon controlled, and I think the Romans might now strike. But you know, it's a tricky situation. If they do it, if they move in, let's say from this and this area, move in here, and that's probably what they have to do, otherwise they have no chance to destroy them, to destroy the Saxons there. Then of course this extremely valuable space is kind of open for attacks from the Civitates, and so is that space also from maybe attacks from the Civitates, also from here and from there. So, you know, it's a questionable thing, and the Saxons are not exactly winning at the moment. Right now it's more the Civitates that is winning. So, do the Romans really want to spend their efforts destroying or taking this from the Saxons? This is extremely hard to answer, and yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, now let me calculate this through. Let's say we're gonna move in here with 4 troops and leave 2 to protect this area from possible attacks from the Civitates. And down here we do the same thing, okay? So that means we wouldn't end up with, these are 6 here, and these are, so we would have 10 units there. Then we could destroy 10 of these guys. These are 8, right? Yeah. 10. Okay. So they would be dead before they actually could do anything. And then they could destroy 5 of mine. So the funny thing is that then the Saxons actually would still control the area. I would then sit in here with 5 people, and they would still control the area. And because they have then 6 pieces in there. Yeah. That's a problem. It really is. It's hard to tell. I mean, the thing is, the Saxons don't have anything left to recruit. I have at least these 2 dux pieces here. So let's imagine I bring them in here too. I could then, yeah, I might then do it. Maybe I'm gonna simply do this train action here, and then during the next phase we can then do the attack there. It's probably the best I have right now. I think, yeah, I think that's possibly a better idea in the end. Of course, there's then the big question how the Civitatis will react to that. If we have here only two spaces, two guys in there, I mean, it's tricky. If they move in there, we have that specific special ability there, which is this kind of the Care Legion, this sortie ability there, which allows us to do in field battles. We could charge and then retreat into the fortress before the others can do anything. And that, I think, is a pretty powerful option, and it makes it extremely hard, and I really mean extremely hard, for the other nations to take spaces where I have a fortress and a few cavalry. So yeah, I think that's actually what I want to do. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna hire. First, I'm gonna do a requisition action, which allows me to take 4 resources, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the Civitatis, and then I'm gonna pay 3 to bring in 2 more cavalry in here. Yeah, and we'll see now where that will lead us. Let's hope. I mean, the thing is, if these guys, they cannot really move out, the Saxons. If they would move out, for example, now to take out this area here to gain control over another area, then this is wide open. There is no chance. They were very lucky gaining this opportunity to take control over that. But they just need 1 more point, actually. And, well, actually, at the moment, they need 3 more points because they don't control this yet. But that should not be such a big issue. Okay, so we come to the next card then. So the Civitatis marched again after they lost this area, and it's going to be nearly impossible to regain control over that. They marched, and they basically now moved in there and in here. So there is now the threat that they will take 4 more population during a muster action, and it's pretty obvious they cannot hold these areas by themselves. You know, after they do the master action, they would be basically down to 2 militia and a hill fort or something. That's very weak and not a big deal. But the thing is, the others have to spend actions to deal with that. And they have actually to spend actions to deal with both of these options, right? And the interesting part is they need a way to work together here, because let's say the Romans, let's assume the Romans move, I don't know, from here to there, take out these suckers, and maybe from here to here. Okay, then the Saxons can take maybe this area out, or maybe even down that one. The moment the Romans split up, they become vulnerable. They are very strong as soon as they are in their fortresses. But if they split up and are no longer in their fortresses, they become vulnerable, so especially in here, and then the Saxons might be able to kill them and simply grab the area and then end up with 11 points, which would be enough to win. But that's all very difficult again, because then we would probably not have many people to protect that one. But you don't know when this next card shows up, so it might not be that long, and you know, it might just be kind of, okay, I'm going to risk it all, and maybe if the card shows up, I'm going to win right now, and if it doesn't, well, then I'm screwed. I think it could be, it could come to such an ending, because we're all pretty close now, and especially the Saxons and the Civitates here. Okay, so here the Scots will now do some raids, I guess. They need money. $8. So they're gonna raid these rich areas here. Combine that with the ransom action. And that's another thing, you know. While the others might be busy, especially the Romans, fighting here, they cannot battle the Saxons raiding their areas. So it's hard to tell what we actually want to do. Okay, so first of all, I guess, yeah, I definitely want to raid in here. I want to raid up here. Here probably. I think I want to go there where we have more militia, so they are not that strong. And yeah, I wonder if I should go in there. I mean, it's kind of tempting. On the other hand, the Romans could simply attack then and yeah, do a battle, gain prestige. That might be also in their interest. So I think I don't want to risk that. Instead, I guess I'm gonna yeah, let me see. I mean, I might get 1, 2. I mean, all these raids cost me also 1. So if I can gain 2, it means in the end I also have a win of 1 in the end. Well, I might actually do a raid here, or not. Also 2 there could be an option. So yeah, maybe I want to do that. Okay, so let's kick it off and select all regions. Each region after plunder roll 1d6. If 4 to 6, in our case it's a 3 to 6 because of St. Patricius. Transfer 1 resource or renown from one faction that has a stronghold in the target region to Scotty renown. So that would give me a lot of additional bucks. That's pretty awesome in this case. Okay, so yeah, where do I want to start? Hard to tell. Well, I guess I'm going to start up there. Well, that sucked. Okay, that's only 2, and 1 is actually no. We're good. Yeah, 1 we can do it from here. So there is no 1 subtracted. That's only 2. So I might want to add some raiders from this box up here. Yeah, but it's Do I? Nah, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough choice. Okay, so actually I didn't place any one of these, so let's bring them in here. They're very vulnerable, of course. I mean, Civitates could battle me there, but maybe if I'm lucky I might be able then to maybe I can bring in a few more guys. I mean, if I consider it, I might have also the chance for an ambush there. So, why not? Let's do it. Okay. Well, the more I think about it, I don't know. I mean, how many do I want to... I could also bring in a few guys here. Yeah, okay, I think that's okay for me now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I guess I'm fine there. Okay, so now we're going to bring in our people there. Well, that's 5. That's better. Three and 2 more. Actually, this one goes away on the top, and then this one. And again, the question: can we bring in more? We have 2. Okay, we got 6 people there, but 2 of them are comitates. They would kill 2. I think I prefer to bring in more people here. It's a tough decision. It really is. Oh man, that's only 3. But yeah, I think at least here I can bring in a few additional guys to protect my plunder, because there are only 3 militia. So that could be a good idea to bring, let's say, 2 more guys in there. Okay, and then finally we're gonna try it here. Oh man, that's 4. That's all not too impressive. 1, 2, 3, 4. But still, you know, I mean, I think I want to bring in my last 2 there. So maybe I can, if only that, say, the Scots battle, and I doubt they will, or the militia, I might be able to get that plunder home. And every buck counts at the moment. So we'll see. And then we're going to roll a die, and on 3 to 6 I get additional money. So let's start up here. And I think I want to take the money from the civitates here. And that is good. That's 1 for me. Then down here, and that's also cool. That's another buck. So now it's getting actually interesting. And they lose more money. Here, same thing. Maybe I should... Yeah, well, actually, the dukes are not a big threat to me, so I'm going to go with the civitates. Shit, that wasn't good. And then down here, and I'm going to do it from the civitates again. Okay, that was cool. So that was pretty successful, because that means I only need 5 more bucks. So if I will be able now to take some of my loot home from 3 areas, for example, I'd be in the winning range. But here's the interesting thing. I'm not sure if I actually paid for the raids. And here I have my doubts. Did I pay 4 bucks? Damn, I don't know that. Shit. I think I didn't. Did I? Actually, I'm pretty sure I didn't. Because now it's more interesting. If I bring all the money home now, yeah, I think that's what that was. I would be at 45, right? So I'm pretty sure I didn't, because it would have been just too great otherwise. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I kind of messed this up. It was like that, and I forgot to move these around. I think I passed on that card with the Scots, and then it ended up like this now. Okay, so we are on this card, and that means that now it's the Romans. Tja, there we go. Do they want to do that now? Do they want to attack the Saxons? I guess that would be pretty bullshit to do that. I think what they want to do instead is they want to try to take out the Civitas. Fuck, man, this is such a bad decision to make. Okay, so the most interesting plan could be to say, okay, we take now a ton of troops, march in here and fight the Saxons. You know, destroy most of their army, so that they lose control over that, and also cannot resettle their people there. And then we march again in here and take out these these guys here, the Civitates. But that's not so easy, because that would take us, in the end, it would take us 4 full commands to do that. And I don't think we have the time. So the Saxons right now are not such big a threat as the other guys. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to actually move in here, fight the Civitates, and yeah, so I'm going to march. Let me see, I think I only have to pay the destination space if I'm not mistaken here. No, it's the origin space. Well, actually I could now only do the limited command. Shit. Okay, so it's the Saxons, and they trigger this event here. Looks beautiful. And it's then Dubglass River. Slosh. In fence, cavalry is half for field battles, strikes and losses. So that is pretty horrible. It's 46. The Arthur battle list in Nennius Historia Britonum mentions no fewer than 3 battles on a river called Dubglass, meaning black watered, which is in the region of Linuis. This strongly suggests a protracted campaign against an enemy, in all likelihood Saxons, operating from a river base, providing them both with safety and easy access inland, just like the Vikings did a few centuries later. Warfare in the typically marshy environment of the low-lying eastern coast of Britain presented unique challenges for the cavalry-based late Roman field army, and could only be successful by drawing on local knowledge, strategically emplaced choke points, and quick strikes at the raiders' fortified camps. Yeah, so they're going to trigger this, the slosh. So now we have another marker here. That's another permanent event. And oh shit, yeah, there we go. So, and there we are. So these were the Saxons, and now it's the Civitatis again, and yeah, what do they want to do? Okay, so difficult decision for the Civitatis here. First of all, they're threatened to lose these guys, and yeah, I don't know if they can. This could actually happen. I have my doubts they can. They could march out, but I don't think they can stand the Roman calf there. So my idea was either I'm going to do now a muster action, maybe starting even here and another one here, building hill forts here and there, getting control over, it would be only, yeah, that wouldn't even give me control because of the 4 Romans there. Well, anyway, I mean, I could do it here, so I would gain control over these 2 spaces, and then I'm again in the winning range, which is a cool option. And if I'm lucky, and the next card is then the epoch card, well, I would have won the game, right? But if I do that, and the next card is not the epoch card, the Scots can activate and bring all their loot home. And these would be $8, which would bring them exactly to 45. So they would only need 1 more raid, basically, with a ransom action or something, and that would then probably enough. On the other hand, maybe not necessarily, because they also have to return their loot. Huh. That's an interesting question then. I mean, they could do the ransom actions to basically finance the raid, but to gain money out of it, they have to return the loot, because each space costs them $1. And they can only get $1 out of a ransom action, so that is best case even for them. So to actually win money, they need to return it. And therefore, you know, I think I'm going to saddle and I'm going to gamble. And if the Scots win, hey, okay. It's a big risk, but yeah, I'm not sure what else to do here in this case. I'm going to try it. I'm going to settle here. Maybe I'm just lucky. So, yeah, let's do it. It costs me $2. It's a muster action. I'm going to replace these 2 Civitatis with another hill fort. There it goes. That gives me 2 control. So I'm at 18 now, which would be good enough to win. And I could do another, but there's not a lot I want to do actually. I could do some kind of rule or invite. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really help. No, there is no feat I can actually do. Okay, so now we're gonna see what happens. Come to the next card. Okay, that's not an epoch card, so maybe it was the wrong decision. We don't know. First, it's now the Scotty, and they... Yeah, but, you know, even now they still have time, because... Shit. Well, the Romans could move troops in there, and in that way try to steal the control from these, and then do a battle here and a battle here. That could be an option. And, yeah, I guess that's what I want to do. Okay, so for now, first it's now the Scots. They're going to take a command. Maybe they... Yeah, I think they actually... Yeah, okay. So the Scots, they're simply going to do a... command. And then they're going to return with all that shit. Wow, here's the thing. Actually, it seems like... It seems like that the Civitates cannot pay the Foederati during the next epoch, because if they would definitely push the Scots into the winning range, and so they cannot pay them. That means they will lose their Foederati, and that is again some kind of advantage then for the Scots. Okay, so these were $2, 4, 6, and here we have then 8. Okay, so that's now exactly 45. That's not enough to win yet. We need 46 at least. So, but it's damn close. Now these also go away. Okay. And now it's the Romans. And I mean, there is this amazing card here. De excidio Britanniae. The Christians flee. Population -1. No, it's... Actually, they could play that one. The slaughter of Viala. Population -1 in 3 regions with Saxon warbands. So that would then allow the Romans to remove population in these areas under Saxon control, and therefore the Saxons would lose 3 control, and basically a win would be far, far away then. So that would be amazing. However, yeah, they cannot do that. First of all, the Scots, they only did a command, but they thought that through, and they said, okay, I mean, it would be in the interest of the Scots too if the Romans could do that. So maybe they actually should place that thing here and allow them to do it. Wait a minute. I think they can only do ransom following a raid, right? Yeah. Yeah. Or a battle. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Okay. So anyway, we did now exactly... Okay, let's say we played that one here, so that the Romans have that option. Well, The thing is, if they do this now, it would probably stop the Saxons for quite a while. But then, if the next card is again, we still have that problem here, that the Civitatis could win then pretty soon. So I think I cannot afford to do that. I have to move my troops in here, and then I need another action to fight the Civitatis. That sucks so badly, but there's nothing I can do. You know, it takes a while now. I cannot intercept them or something. I have to really march in there and then in another action fight them. Too bad. So okay, let's do it then. I think I want to bring in. Yeah, let's see, how many do I need? Are 3 good enough? No, actually. Oh, actually, right now we have here Britain control. Okay, I mean, if I move in 3, this is no longer control, that's for sure. So I could do that. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to move in from 2 areas. I'm going to move in from here and from here. So I'm going to move in, yeah, 4 guys in there. Okay, so they lose now control, that's for sure. This goes down to 2 because they don't have enough pieces there anymore. And then I'm going to move in these 4 guys in here. Right, I just march through, and then they lose control here too. Okay, so that's it. Civitatis for now are definitely a little bit thrown back thanks to the Romans now. The interesting thing is that the Romans actually don't really do anything to win the game. All they do is kind of preventing others from winning, because it's yeah, but it's so hard. I mean, they don't have many options apart from that. Okay, let's see. Shit, they could have only done a limited command. Shit. So that wasn't possible. You know what? Do I want to move there or there? Hard to tell. Okay, then I think I actually... Yeah, okay. I'm then going to move... I mean, it's still good enough. Civitatis don't win, but then I'm going to remain here for now. Yeah, it was only a limited command. Okay, there we go. Let's see what we have next. Okay. Okay, Civitatis. They are kind of somehow pushing through and hoping for the next card. So what they're actually going to do is they're going to do another march action. So they're going to pay $4 and 4. They only have very limited money left, but they can use their wealth as money. So if they're broke, they can still continue using their wealth. And yeah, they're going to use a command there because they want to avoid this papal oversight. Civitatis pay 10 resources. Sanct Germanus, that would be pretty horrible for them. So, yeah, they're going to march, and what they actually do, they're going to bring these suckers out of here, right in there. And the funny thing is, they now take control over this space. And, yeah, I mean, nobody really thought about that, but of course that is an option. And now that the Roman cavalry is reduced to half, they are basically just as strong as the militia here, because this is now fence. So that gives them again 2 more control. And in addition, they're going to move in from here actually. Yeah. Or from up there. And I need basically 2 more pieces, right? So I could also say, okay, I'm going to bring in 2 more from up here. I mean, the Scots could then... Wait a minute, didn't the Scots do a raid up here? That's kind of strange. I'm not sure why there is still stuff there. That's odd. It really is. I thought they did a raid there, or did they only do raids down here? I'm pretty sure they did one here, actually. I think they did one here, so I guess this prosperity should be gone. Or maybe not. Holy shit, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna leave it. I'm not sure, but... maybe it was at 4. I don't think so, really, but... anyway. It doesn't... I think it should be gone. Yeah, I think it should be gone. I don't want to allow the Scots to do another raid here. I think it's gone. Okay, so now what happens is that... yeah, I'm going to bring these guys simply down here. And in this way... they have now another 2, which brings them now, I think, up to a control of 20. That would be pretty impressive, but I have to count that again. Okay, so the Saxons paid $1 to move in here. Coriel Tauvi, so that the Britons lose control again. Brings them down to 18, still kind of winning. But, of course, the Saxons are also interested in maybe taking this. This is their home territory, but it's going to be hard to take because there's a fortress there and a town. So they have to crack one of these, and that's going to be tough. Okay, let's continue this. And, okay. Still no win for the Civitatis here. Maybe now the Scots will have a chance. So here's the thing, I forgot something very important. The Scots actually, they don't have to pay for raids. They can do them for free. I mean, that means they can only place 1 guy in there. But hey, who cares? You know, they can do the ransom anyway. And that will push them over the limit. Even if they don't return. I forgot about that. This is pretty insane, actually. So yeah, of course, I'm going to do then 4 raids without paying. 2, 3, and yeah, why not? I'm going to do a 4 here. And I'm pretty sure I can do at least 1 successful ransom, and then I win the game, basically. Each region, roll 1d6. Yeah. Okay, that's definitely cool. So I'm only allowed to roll a single die now, but that's good enough. You know, it's about the ransom, not so much about the plunder. There isn't that much to gain anywhere. Okay, so well, but before I can do that, I was a little too happy about my finding out here. So before I'm going to do that, it's actually the Romans. And so what do they want to do? Well, they might fight maybe here. That could be an option. Or they march in here now, which would cost... maybe they should do that. That will cost the... Wow. Yeah, that would cost the the Civitatis 2 points. And then I can still fight in the next turn and destroy maybe both if I'm a little lucky. So yeah, I think that's what I actually want to do. Let me see. Okay, so I guess I want to... the Dux is going to take a full action here. So what they're going to do is... Yeah. Okay, they're going to build. It costs them $3. 1, 2, 3. And they're going to place then a fortress in here. And then they're going to move, they're going to march right here. So Britain control goes away. This becomes uncontrolled. The Britons lose 2. And these guys gain 2. So finally they start to gaining a little bit here. But the Romans are far from winning that, and yeah. But still, you know, this is kind of... It's really hard to crack these forts, and we'll see if the Saxons are able to do that. We'll find out about that, I guess. Okay, and yeah, well... That was a command, and the Scots, they're going to pass here. It's a little risky to do that, because it is possible that actually in the next turn we'll have an epoch card. But hey, fuck it, it's absolutely not it's no risky at all. If they pass, they get a buck. Ha! That's it, man. They are now in the winning range. And then they are first in the next turn, and they can actually start their raid, and... yeah, that's going to be it. That's it. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Scots will win this. There must be some crazy stuff happening, but I don't think there is anything possible. It's nearly impossible to take out that hill fort for anybody. To get here will take forever. So, yeah, up there, you know, there is another hill fort. And the other ones are Foederati hill forts. So the Romans could maybe attack them, but I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. Because there are also yeah, maybe the Romans could move in here. But even if the Scots lose one of these hill forts, doesn't really matter, because they can afford, yeah, they can afford that. So I think that's pretty much it then. Let's see when we come to the next card, and there it is. Holy crap! In the end, it was the pass that won the Scots the game. That's pretty insane. Okay, yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. Well, we can now do this Annona phase here. Well, obviously, the Civitatis is not going to pay here, because if they would do that, the Scots would even gain more money. But the Scots can now plunder the area, get a buck from that, but that is not transferred right now. During the Annona phase, the money would be transferred right now. Oops, damn it. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too long that way. But right now, yeah, that doesn't happen if they plunder the area. This will just happen later during the return phase, which is after the victory check. And, well, I think, yeah, here actually, exactly. So they're not going to pay either. Now this region is plundered. Okay, and of course they are no longer Foederati here. So, yeah, that was that. We come now to this Imperium phase. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that nothing happens there. So now the victory conditions are checked, and it is unbelievable. It was definitely a surprise. I think the Scots made it. I mean, they were kind of in range during this epoch all the time, but in the end, you know, I wasn't really expecting. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Civitatis was always kind of in there in the range. Maybe I wanna count them too. Maybe there is a tie or something, but I don't think so. So that's 2, 4, 5, and that's a 7 here. Okay. Then we have 8, 9, 10. 12, 14, 16. Yeah, exactly. That's 16. That is not quite enough. They are lacking 1 point there. And basically 1 cube is missing there. No, actually that's not the case. 1 cube is missing here. If they had another cube in here, that's crazy. If they had another cube in here, the Civitatis would have won the game. But probably the Romans would not have allowed that either. Yeah, the Saxons, hey, I mean, that was a crazy situation for them. I don't know, you know, they were kind of, there was that stalemate with the Romans. If they moved out of here to try to conquer more territory, then the Romans could have attacked here. Maybe now some movement would have happened where the Romans were so hardly weakened in the fenced territory, thanks to this slosh cart here. And now that the Romans kind of spread out a little bit here, maybe now the Saxons would have had a chance to try and attack here, and then it would have been enough to win the game. They had then 2, 5, 7 settlement. Here would make it 8, 9, and then here it would be 11. So yeah, if they would have taken this area out, they could have won the game. But you know, this is a big deal, taking this area with a town and a fortress. That's not going to be easy. Of course, they could have also gone for that area. Yeah, you know, it's hard to tell. It really is. The Dukes, I don't know, man. Maybe I played them kind of wrong or something, but I wasn't successful with these guys at all. I don't know what I could have done better here. They were basically the police preventing everybody else from winning, but they didn't do a lot to win the game by themselves. So, yeah. They were, for a very long time of the game, they were basically out of resources and couldn't do anything. Maybe now, if this last stage of the game would have continued for longer, this fragmentation stage, maybe then they were definitely doing better during this epoch now, when they had a few more resources and they had the cavalry on the map, combined with this alliance with the steppe warriors. They are now again capable of doing something at least, and not just of sitting there and hoping for the game to end somehow. But yeah, of course, their forces were also kind of stuck here because there was the threat of the Saxons. On the other hand, of these two Civitatis pieces, they moved in here, and there was nobody in there, you know, they would have lost that valuable area. So I think the Romans were in a really difficult position, and yeah, maybe I didn't find the right strategy for them, but it's not easy. It definitely isn't. Okay, so what are my impressions about the game? Well, it's a coin game, right? And first of all, it comes with all the strengths and also maybe the weaknesses that the system brings. I mean, it's fairly long, of course, I guess. Maybe not terribly, but yeah, it's I mean, you can play it in an evening, but it's a pretty long game, and sometimes these coin games can become a little repetitive. You know, it's always this forth and back, and there are only rarely these big twists. You know, it's it's very often a very slow process when you're just it's a slow and steady and a little bit of an advantage, and then it's hard to. It has a strange dynamic sometimes, you know, but I guess that's kind of realistic, you know. That's definitely that's probably part of this coin simulation system. Apart from that, for me, it feels sometimes a little too abstract. I mean, of course you have the cards. They're kind of cool, you know, and they add a lot of atmosphere to the game, especially if you also read, at least from time to time, from the playbook, which is really amazing here. I've already mentioned that. But yeah, I mean, the system in general is really abstract. And if you can take basically that system and then strip, I don't know, all kinds of theme over that, right? I mean, if it's the Vietnam War or the Cuban Revolution or this thing here, the Dark Ages, or the Indians getting rid of the English. I mean, you could, I guess, even do a Star Wars theme or something with that. So I think it's okay to do that, and I don't blame them for that. On the contrary, it's kind of cool because you can experience all these different time periods and all these different conflicts with not having to learn too much new rules all the time. And I kind of like that. I really do. You can explore these insurgencies and these conflicts, and you don't have to go through a full 40 pages rule book, because once you get the main idea, it's not too hard to learn a new game of the series. On the other hand, it kind of proves that it is pretty abstract, because you need, I think, a certain level of, I don't know what the word is, the noun abstractness, I guess. Yeah, a certain level of abstractness, that sounds kind of right. To make it possible that one system fits to so many different conflicts. However, there is already a lot of detail in this game compared to some other coin games. I mean, I must say I haven't played them all. I have played, I think I already mentioned it, Andean Abyss, Cuba Libre, Falling Sky, Colonial Twilight, and let me see, is there another one that I played? Honestly, I don't think so. And now that one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't played the other two. Liberty or Death, Distant Plain, and the Vietnam one, Fire in the Lake. I haven't played them yet. And so I cannot say anything about those. But I can definitely speak about the others. And this is possibly the most heavy one of them. I would say maybe together with Falling Sky. Especially compared to Cuba Libre and Andean Abyss, you have a ton of special rules here. You have a a lot of these extra troops. You have warbands, you have raiders, you have 2 different types of troops on the Civitatis sides. You have also 2 different types of, well, bases, or in these settlements here. So that is already kind of unique. Usually in the old games, only the government had 2 type of troops, and then you have these guerrillas, which are basically the same for every other faction, more or less. In addition to that, you have here this Imperium track, which is really cool and which changes the game a lot. It really does. Because we've seen that the victory conditions change for the, especially for the Dukes, but also for the Civitates, and also the gameplay between the 2. The fact that the Dukes and the Civitates kind of share resources and also troops. They fight also together in these first 2 stages. That is a very, very interesting concept that I haven't seen in any of the other games. And the fact that the Civitates is interesting to have this, or interested in having civilian dominance. The Romans want military dominance. That's another thing which is really cool and pretty unique in the system here. They went away from the leaders that we've seen in Falling Sky, and I think, but I'm not sure, I think they were also in Liberty or Death. Here we don't have them anymore. I didn't love them too much in Falling Sky, so I'm fine with that. And I think they basically went away from them because the scale here is very different, right? And this goes over, I don't know, I think over 150 years. So you cannot really bring a leader into play and then leave him in the game all throughout the time. Of course, you could come up with more leaders and successors and stuff like that, but that would have made it more complex, I guess. And so I think it's a pretty good idea that some leaders are represented by card events, and that's basically it. In Falling Sky, it was a little different. It was just a single campaign which went over, I don't know, I think it was just 1.5 years or so, the Gallic Wars. I'm not sure about that, but it wasn't terribly long, I think. And that's basically the special thing about this game anyway. The scale is massive compared to all the other coin games. And that's something you feel here. Again, because of the Imperium track, that is that also reflects the scale, you know, the big changes in the of the state of this empire, of this society. This is reflected here, and that's a very, very interesting point. The other thing is the epoch cards, which come with these specific events. We haven't seen too many of them really taking place because for some of the requirements were not didn't apply, or sometimes I couldn't afford to do it. The first event changed a lot in the game, basically threw the Romans out of Britain, and I don't know, reduce population of Textoveri, the Icenia by 1. Treat these regions, printed population number as 1. Well, that would have been pretty horrible. That would have changed the game again quite a bit. We have here where these markers are. That one, and this one, and this one here, and that one up there. So mainly the Civitates would be hurt by that. Also a little bit the Saxons. So I think some of these games some of these epoch cards have a pretty massive effect. One of these later epoch cards always stays out of the game. Or was it an earlier one? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was an earlier epoch card that stayed out of the game. So you don't really know which one will show up and which one not. And of course, that can also apply to the later epoch cards if the victory condition is triggered with one of them. So yeah, you can usually not be sure if you will see all these cards. Another interesting point is that the way the factions play changes during the game a lot. And that's also something I haven't seen in the other coin series, at least not to that degree. Most interestingly, I think it's maybe with the Saxons, because basically both barbarians are a little bit in the same situation here. They cannot do anything at the beginning of the game except raids. They don't have even pieces on the board, right? So they do their raids, and that's all that happens. And I thought at the beginning, wow, is that boring for these poor suckers who play the barbarians. They only have little choices to make, they can only do their raids, hope they roll high, and that's all they can do. And I think that can be pretty frustrating at the beginning. During the first 2 epochs or so, usually not a lot will happen, I think, for the barbarians. Maybe if you are lucky and you end up with a cool event that allows you to somehow get a foothold onto the island, that might help you then. But in general, I think your options are extremely limited here. However, once you can open that door, and I think especially the Saxons, they are stronger here. Once you can do that, and after some raids that might be possible, because the raids, the returning, allow you to do the settlements, and then you can exchange or replace the warbands, the raiders with warbands, and then start building settlements and so on. That will take some time, of course. But once when it happened, the game changes, actually. The Saxons didn't do a lot of raids anymore. You know, they have now a ton of warbands on the board. They don't have any left here, and they're not too interested in money. So they're now more interested in kind of grabbing more territory and controlling regions with big population and so on. So here the gameplay definitely changed quite a bit. For the Scots, it wasn't that big a deal because they're not after the territories. They're more after the money. I mean, they want settlements. That's important for them. They need settlements. And therefore, it is a point, right? They definitely want to do that. But they're going to continue their raids. Different to the Saxons. I think the Scots will permanently continue their raids and trying to grab more money that way, combined with this ransom option that they have. Yeah, for the Civitates, their big game changer comes definitely if... Well, they have basically 2 interesting goals. One is to get here to autonomy and civilian dominance, because if that happens, that's when they are probably they probably have the most strength. Because at that point, the Romans can do nearly nothing because they don't have to give them money anymore. The Civitates can keep the money for themselves. Every time the Romans pass, the money goes to the Civitates, and at that point, they will also probably have a ton of money. We've seen that in this game. I don't know absolutely for sure if this is typical, but I could guess that they will have a ton of money as long as they are in this region of the Imperium track, and then when it comes to fragmentation, the money will go down. Because they simply won't get any much money, that much money during the during the epoch cards, and also they don't get any more money from the passing of the dukes. So I think that is the thing where they really want to rock it, and that's also when the game changes. You know, they have this permanent changing of the game, of the victory conditions, and then this big game changer when they play no longer together with the Imperium, but really completely against the Imperium when it goes to the fragmentation. So they also have this experience of the changing game. And I think that also applies to the Dukes itself, because at the beginning, I guess they are pretty strong. They have a lot of forces on the board, I think nearly all of them, and they can grab all the money from the Civitatis without even asking. And maybe at that point they should have somehow done more, but I'm not sure how. Maybe that would have been an option, but I simply don't know. There were also the roads, they were still maintained, so they were fast and all. Maybe they could have done more at that time, but I just don't know. And then on the other hand, there comes that point when Britain becomes autonomous, civilian dominance, and they're really hosed. There's nothing they can do. They don't have any resources, and yeah, basically so little options. We have this terrible card, cut the, I don't know, what was it? Cut the ties, or cutting the ties, which basically throws, I don't know, half the Roman pieces out of Britain or something. So yeah, this is really the painful part of the game for the Romans, when they're just sitting there and can't do a lot. But then when it comes to fragmentation, I have a feeling they are getting more powerful again. Their victory goal gets a little closer, and they gain more resources. But I'm not sure about that. What I wanted to say with all of that is that the game experience changes a lot throughout the game, and that reflects the massive scale compared to the earlier coin series games. Okay, so can I recommend it? Well, if you like coin, of course I can recommend it. It's definitely an interesting one. I would not recommend it to start the coin series with that one. I think it's a little too heavy for that. And maybe one last thing. The bots are a bitch. I really don't enjoy them at all. Maybe you can use the bots for to replace one player in a 4-player game or so. That makes sense. But otherwise, you would be only handling the bots, and not much real play time would remain. They are really hard to deal with. Okay, so hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.